doing tonight? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and we are live for my first ever live review of AEW Dynamite here on YouTube. Of course, I have reviewed three of the pay-per-views so far for AEW, which of course was Double or Nothing. I reviewed Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen. I will, of course, eventually, sometime soon, review the other pay-per-views for AEW. I have not reviewed on this channel yet, but those are yet to come. But this is my first edition of AEW Dynamite review. Now, I was, of course, going to do, as I'm doing for the rest of, my streams this week, just kind of doing, like a catch-up stream, recapping of what's all been going on so far, and reviewing the current show from this past week or so. I'm still going to kind of do that with this stream, but maybe not as in-depth as I have, because this is my first Dynamite stream. It's not like I was reviewing, all episodes of Dynamite before my channel ended, because Dynamite was not a thing yet. Because Dynamite did not debut until October 2nd, 2019 on TNT last year. And I think, so far those have been off to a great start. So I will do a brief recap of what's been going on with AEW to start off with so far, and some names I'm a fan of so far, and then we will go from there. And let me see here. I'll get to the live chat in a second, and we'll just go from there. But I'll just first say that, so far, I've really liked AEW so far, and I definitely think it's brought, a different type of, grasp and a different, avenue for wrestling fans. Jon Moxley summed it up perfectly in his opening segment tonight. I've, been able to see people like, Cody Rhodes or Jon Moxley or Shawn Spears, formerly Ty Dillinger, Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, formerly Jack Swagger, and a few other talents that used to be in WWE, come to AEW and kind of get, that different booking that they've always, been wanting to get. Of course, I've been a big fan so far of, Sammy Guevara. I also really like Darby Allin. I really became a fan of Darby Allin after his match with Cody Rhodes at Fyter Fest. Yeah, Fyter Fest. I thought that was a really good match that really got me behind the character of Darby Allin and what he brings to the table. The mysterious, guy on a skateboard and whatnot. This, this dark, babyface character that he has. MJF is definitely, in my opinion, it has potential to be probably the best heel in the professional wrestling industry. He's still getting started to me, but, he's growing on me. And I definitely believe he can be one of the top heels, and I think him going over Cody this past weekend at Revolution was great, but I will talk about that, of course, when we do get to, I do my Revolution review at some point. So we got that, we have Moxley, Jericho, Guevara, MJF, the guy I mentioned, Shawn Spears before, we have Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page, who I've, enjoyed so far. Of course, finally getting to see Kenny Omega wrestle, because after hearing a bunch of great things he did in New Japan, and I finally get to see him wrestle as well. Hangman Adam Page, is, definitely grown on me. Of course, I know he was at first the one who challenged Chris Jericho for the AEW World Title in the first match for the championship back at All Out. And of course, I believe he wasn't ready yet, as Chris Jericho was the right person to build the brand around being AEW World Champion. The tag team division, I think, has grown for sure on me as well. I've liked SCU. I like their run as tag champions. I've liked what they're doing so far with Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page, and teasing that tension between Adam Page and Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks as well. Dark Order, first time around things didn't go well, but now they've kind of repackaged a little bit. Things are clicking. We're still waiting to hear who the Exalted One is, which everybody keeps saying, and I still believe as well. It could be Matt Hardy eventually. We got Best Friends. We got Orange Cassidy in there as well. We got the Lucha Bros. We got a lot of, depth in that tag team division. The women's division, I still feel like is building. And again, also, well, you saw, my AEW background when Chris Jericho was world champion. I found a PNG image of Moxley of the AEW world title, but I'll try to find a bigger one. 'Cause to me, that's just one of his WWE PNG images with an AEW title, so I'll try to find one that's more AEW style and replace it. And of course, I have Nyla Rose without the women's titles, because once again, AEW for some reason does not have too many PNG images online for me to find to be able to put into these graphics. So when the time comes and when it happens, hopefully I will have Nyla Rose updated as well with the AEW Women's World Title on there. And I like how they call it the Women's World Title, not just the Women's Title, the Women's World Title. But I feel like the Women's Division is the division that. Oh, and of course, I forgot to mention Pac as well. How could I not forget about Pac? Formerly, of course, Neville. Doing great so far in AEW. But the women's division, I still feel like it's kind of still in that it's still in that building stage. Like I feel like it's not the high. It's probably the weakest part of AEW so far. Rio was alright as champion, but she didn't really show up too much on the shows, so it's kind of hurt a little bit. We have a couple different nationalities of wrestlers in there that definitely interest me. Of course, we got Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, who recently has kind of turned heel and is calling Tony Schiavone Mr. Starbucks. But I definitely like what she's doing, especially that one promo she cut a few weeks ago when she just ripped Tony Schiavone to shreds. And dang it, again, Adam Cole, I thought he was a lucky SOB because of how hot she looked that night. But Nyla Rose has done well. I am definitely a big fan of Chris Statlander for sure as well. And we've got oh gosh, what was her name again in the women's match tonight? 1 second, I have it right here. Big Swole. Yeah, Big Swole, I thought, was impressed tonight as well. So there is definitely, potential for this women's division. But again, that's the part that still is, growing on me for sure still. But so far, I've liked most of the feuds we got. Of course, I like the Jericho and Cody program. Again, what I've really liked about Cody Rhodes in AEW is that at first, yes, when Cody came in, he was kind of a tweener to me. But he's made himself a babyface where it's like he puts so much on the line. He pushes himself. He challenges himself. If he couldn't beat Chris Jericho for the world title, then he was not going to challenge for the world title again. Eventually, someday, he will. But not anytime soon, as he's involved with a feud with MJF, which, of course, I love the build to the match at Revolution. Having, MJF literally just, put Cody through all the hell in the world he could, and, worked, and eventually, of course, he did beat Cody. I like the series of matches we got with Omega and Pac, and, of course, I still love. Now, a lot of people are probably going to be wondering, from my opinion, did I think the Moxley and Omega match go too far? No. To me, what they did is something that I feel like I've wanted to see. Some type of an extreme hardcore style match involving barbed wire or even mouse traps, thumbtacks. Well, I don't think I have thumbtacks, but all sorts of different weapons, an ice picker in there and such. That's a match that John Moxley was destined to have, I thought. And a guy like Kenny Omega was just the right person, I thought, to put him over, even though the match didn't count because it was unsanctioned. It was a lights out match. I still thought it was definitely one of the best matches I've definitely seen out of John Moxley, for sure. We had that feud. Chris Jericho has his inner circle, which I do find interesting. You give good rubs to Sammy Guevara, the Spanish God, the young upstart. The tag team of Santana and Ortiz, which I am very surprised. I thought they would be the ones to dethrone SCU, but not yet. They're giving it to Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page and making this interesting feud going on between them and the Young Bucks right now, which I definitely enjoy. I thought they had match of the night at Revolution for sure. What else we had here? Shoot. But yeah, the inner circle going on with them. Jake Hager, who's Jack Swagger. Not still really the biggest fan of his, but I guess he's okay. But I'm still not too crazy about him. Of course, we have Dustin Rhodes as well, doing great as well, and a few other legends popping in there as well. So we've had some good things to come across AEW so far. Again, it's definitely given a lot of different styles, a lot of different things to look forward to. They have the ranking system also, and the record, which I'm glad they have that because it actually feels like it actually means something. Of course, Moxley's 12-0-1. And of course, they have like the ranking systems and such. I think that is very effective, and to see who really is the true stars and who are still on their way up and whatnot, and it just helps with good storytelling. To me, it really works in my opinion. But yeah, so far I've liked where AEW's done so far in the business, and I think he's going to continue to rise higher. I still think someday them and NXT should be on separate nights, or have AEW compete with SmackDown or Raw. But of course, Vince McMahon is too much of a coward to try to compete with Tony Khan and his crew and such, because some of them are guys that Vince McMahon missed out on giving huge opportunities to. But that is for another day. But that's basically just my recap of what I think of AEW so far, what's been going on with Dynamite and such. So before we get started, let's check the live chat. We got Tyler in the live chat saying he hopes that Moxley's AEW World Title reign is not as badly booked as his WWE Championship reign 4 years ago. I wouldn't say it was booked horribly, his WWE title reign, but to me it was just average. Like, well, then again, the plan was never for him to win the world title. Again, it only happened because Roman Reigns violated the wellness policy. The WWE Championship was supposed to stay on Roman Reigns and go to Raw, and AJ Styles and John Cena's match at SummerSlam was supposed to be for the Universal Championship, and AJ Styles would have been the first Universal Champion. Probably would have been a blue belt by then, and I think also again it was just with that him getting that, and then his feud with Ziggler, the build was good, but the match was a little disappointing for sure. I agree, but then of course obviously it was right around the time where AJ Styles caught fired, and it's like, sorry, like Ambrose, yes, we love you and whatnot, but it was AJ Styles' time for sure. But I do think his run will be better this time with the AEW World Title and the WWE title. Do the top 10 storylines where the wrong person won for WWE? Again, at some point I will. Again, I just have a lot of catching up to do, a lot of sorting things out with me being back on YouTube and whatnot. But eventually I will try to bring back top 10s. Just not right now, unfortunately. So we'll see where it goes. And also, by the way, if I haven't said so yet, guys, the reason why I'm not going to be reviewing AEW or NXT on Wednesday nights, unless something else happens, is because I usually go to a trivia night on Wednesday nights. So I had to catch up with them when I get home. So I've watched AEW so far. I'm going to watch NXT before I go to bed tonight, well, at least part of it, and review that tomorrow, and SmackDown as well. And of course, with Elimination Chamber happening this Sunday, I'll try to do a preview prediction stream on Saturday for the Elimination Chamber. Of course, again, I still have more turn alerts to do, which I'll probably have 2 more to upload tonight. I'll have 8 left after that, so we're almost caught up with turn alerts, and after that, I'll probably try to start getting caught up on the pay-per-views I didn't get to review. Of course, I gotta get some NXT TakeOver Tampa Bay card predictions out there at some point, so again, we'll have to wait and see. But anyways, guys, let's talk about this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. And also, Tyler thinks the Universal Championship is a curse. Basically, it is now that they put it on Goldberg, but we've already ranted about that. But let's talk about this show. So this episode of Dynamite took place in Denver, Colorado. Again, the Fallout show from Revolution. So the show opens up with the new AEW World Champion Jon Moxley makes his entrance through the crowd, and I love this promo. Again, it just plays well with the story about what being in this business, in this promotion, means for Jon Moxley. Obviously, in WWE, he just lost his passion. He was micromanaged. He was doing stuff that he just felt was being like an idiot rather than actually being entertaining, and just he wasn't having fun. Now, of course, he's doing what he wants. Has his own input on it, and you can tell that he has had his passion back, and his meaning being in this business was all wrapped into this promo. He says how it's so beautiful for what an AEW represents. professional wrestling, the sport that he loves and has dedicated his life to. The title never belonged to Jericho, nor does it belong to him, but it belongs to us. He says how AEW is something different and brought pro wrestling back. Which, again, I love how he's referencing that. Because obviously, the story about what his goal was to come into AEW, just to get that passion back for wrestling that he had lost. And he succeeded. And now, of course, he's, giving the credit to the fans where credit is due. He's going to crawl through any hell, climb any mountain. There isn't a man in the industry that can pry the title out of his cold, dead hands. But if you want to try and step up, you're going to get knocked out, choked out, or dropped on your head. And it's all the same to him. He's no dummy. He knows that this feud between him and the Inner Circle, it's not over. They try to take his eye and end his career, and he knows his promo is like acid burning in Jericho's mouth. If he's got an army coming for him, get this message to Inner Circle. I dare you. Out comes the former Le Champion, Chris Jericho, and his Inner Circle buddies. He says he doesn't need a belt to be Le Champion. But of course, yes, you do chant starts coming from the crowd. Calls them idiots who can't chant in unison. Tells them to shut their ass and let him say what he has to say. He says that Moxley is a reckless abandon, has more guts than brains, and it all paid off because the Moxley era is beginning tonight. He pulls the crowd on how they feel about that and get a positive response, which he says he thinks it sucks ass. The crowd starts saying, "You suck ass" at him. And he says that Moxley's win was based on a lie. He spent the part of the past 3 months training for a man who has one eye, and the fact that he could see out of both eyes wasn't worthy of being a champion. He wasn't ready for both of Moxley's eyes, which, of course, anybody else saying that could kind of find that dull, but Jericho saying that, I thought made it hilarious. He can pull that off. That makes John a snake of an oil salesman, a Pharisee, a cheater, and all of us here are liars as well. Since he won the title so unfairly, he's caused a big problem because the Inner Circle has gone from good-natured, very good-looking guys into a damn hit squad. So it's official. The Inner Circle is putting the entire AEW roster on notice. The crowd's chanting BS as well, and he doesn't care who you are. Librarian, Nakazawa, or Moxley, they're going to tear everyone and hurt some people. And they're going to start with Moxley. After tonight's main event, with him and Sammy Guevara taking on Moxley and Darby Allin, Moxley won't leave this pigsty on his own 2 feet. And if he walks out of here on his own tonight, Jericho will take a 30-day leave of absence. Or hell, 60 days leave of absence. Don't forget, he's always though got a plan, and Moxley is not as smart as he may think he is. But then Moxley says, nobody said he's a genius, and he didn't graduate high school. But tonight, he's going to do exactly what he did on Saturday, except he's going to send Jericho's rear end packing for 60 days and make him like a stupid SOB. A very proud, very passionate promo by Jon Moxley to start off the show. Again, just wraps up this vision for him that he has had since coming to AEW, and it's all happened basically. And once again, he's having fun, he's happy, and he's enjoying himself, which I am very happy for him for sure. We had an 8-man tag match. It was SCU's Christopher Daniels, Frank Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky teaming with Colt Cabana, who appeared at AEW Revolution, made his AEW debut. They took on the Dark Order's Alex Reynolds, Evil Uno, John Silver, and Stu Grayson. Solid match. I didn't expect anything too spectacular out of it, but it kind of continues this feud and this tease as to who the heck the Exalted One is as well. And it's kind of a good way to kind of give Colt Cabana a rub in his first actual match in AEW. But I thought it was good. Afterwards, though, Evil Uno screams about that this was not supposed to go like this, and the Exalted One will be furious when he arrives. Heads will roll. Once again, when will that happen? Probably soon, since Matt Hardy is now a free agent, and the rumors are him for being the Exalted One. He doesn't have any type of 90-day non-compete clause or anything because he finished out his contract. He didn't request his release. He just finished out his contract. So we'll have to wait and see. Of course, he's on his way at some point. But The babyface team gets the win, which I thought was good. Dr. Britt Baker joined commentary to talk for the next match. Of course, gave Tony Schiavone Mr. Starbucks a Starbucks coffee. She basically was on commentary during the Big Swole versus Leva Bates match. This is kind of like a little bit of like a squash match for Big Swole to win. So okay, that's all the only women's action we saw tonight. Then we had Cody Rhodes. This is a really good segment. Cody Rhodes came out to follow up and talk about his loss to MJF at Revolution, which MJF won by punching Cody in the face with the diamond ring. As of course, as MJF would do, kiss that freaking ring. We had a promo with him later on in the show, but Cody says he doesn't know if he wants to broach the subject or how it personally feels to lose to MJF. But he's going to talk about it from a professional's perspective. As a wrestler, you work your whole life to earn a spot on a pay-per-view card, and that's guaranteed money. And if you win, you get a bonus. So the professional became professional again, and the only way he'd be comfortable with his loss to MJF is if MJF himself comes out, looks Cody in the eye, and tells Cody that he won fair and square. We're waiting to see if MJF comes out. Instead, out came the WWE Hall of Famer, Jake the Snake Roberts. He comes out and shakes Cody's hand, and he's like, I hate to spoil the party, but Cody, I am tired of listening to you cry and bitch. He never cried over one match in his career, and he's going to let that little punk SOB get him to cry? Don't you understand? You got your ass kicked. He handed it right to you, but that's not why he is here. He's not here to praise him. He's here to slay him. The only reason he's here is he has a client. The dark side will be coming to AEW, and once its roots have been taken hold, it's like the phoenix rising to the ashes, soaring to the sun, and it's been 20 years since he got a clean and right, and by God, he's earned it. And if you think for 1 minute he's going to be a nice boy and play it right, you've got another thing coming. For years, you had the snake in the bag, and once it got in your head, he spanked your rear end, and that's what happens. He'll be on the outside of the ring when his client fights Cody. And he can bring Arn Anderson to the ringside because he'll whip his rear end. Caesar, oh Caesar, what a snake wants. A snake takes, and he's not in AEW to take the whole pie. He's just here for Cody's share. A wise man once told him never to turn your back on somebody you respect or are afraid of. And he turns his back on Cody, and he leaves. So obviously, Jake the Snake Roberts apparently has a client coming in. Is it in their stable? I don't know. But all I can say is they're obviously starting to form a little too many heel stables at this point. And we had one, of course, formed through the next match as well. As we had Pac take on Chuck Taylor, taking on the storyline from Pac and best friends. As he had a really good match with Orange Cassidy at Revolution on Saturday. He eventually wins with the submission of the Brutalizer. But afterwards, Trent gets in the ring, gets in Pac's face. Orange Cassidy just steps up to him as a stare down until the Lucha Brothers crash and they have a big brawl, and they beat down Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. But afterwards, Pac gets on the mic and calls the crowd a bunch of scumbags, and officially named themselves a stable. Pac and the Lucha Bros are now called Death Triangle, which, okay, probably some of a high-flying heel stable, but once again, why are we getting more and more heel stables? We have the Inner Circle, we have now the Death Triangle, we have the Dark Order. What else does there need to be as far as heel stable? Like, why are we doing everybody has to have a heel stable? To me, it's not. I don't know. To me, I find it a little bit odd, but it is what it is. It's not horrible, but we'll see. We also, speaking of which, heel stables, Shawn Spears and his manager Tully Blanchard is looking for a tag team partner, the right one for Shawn Spears, basically. So we'll see where it goes with that. Jake Hager took on QT Marshall, with some people in their corner. Um, Dustin Rhodes, though, was in the corner for QT Marshall. Jake Hager won with a head arm triangle submission. Afterwards, Dusty jumps the ring and beats on Hager, but Santana and Ortiz even the odds. And then out comes Cody Rhodes to save his brother. There's a bunch of brawling back and forth, but then Ortiz wallops him with a chair, and the inner circle turned the tide. Matt Jackson comes out trying to save everyone. He hits super kicks. He squares up with Hager and starts wailing on him with punches. Jackson off the ropes, caught by the high angle swinging spine buster. Then out comes Hangman Adam Page, coming down to the ring, drinking a beer. Takes his time, sets his beer on the ring post before clearing house. But then Hager dumped him to the apron. But then Hangman slingshots back in, hits the buckshot, and then Page storms off. And rather than being cordial with Matt Jackson, he even flips him off in the process. So there's still that tension there. When it's going to be the full-blown turn, not sure. We get a recap of the AEW Women's title match at Revolution. We also get told that next week we're going to be getting Cody Rhodes versus Ortiz, and then Death Triangle is going to be in action as well. And also soon, for Blood and Guts was coming up soon. Also, we're going to be getting a 6-man tag match next week between Jurassic Express and the team of MJF and the Butcher and the Blade. Speaking of MJF, we have a little bit of a promo from him. He talks about beating Cody Rhodes clean, even though he beat him with the diamond ring. He says he's proved that he's the final chapter of his epic little odyssey. He can assure us he's got a whole lot of ink for his legacy, and that will read as MJF, the greatest world champion of all time in professional wrestling. No need to change the channel, fix the audio. We heard him right. He doesn't care who's champion, Moxley or Timbuktu. He's going to be number one contender no matter who gets in his way. He's going to remain undefeated because he's better than us. And he goes, man, it's hot in here. Takes off his jacket, and we see he's wearing an I Pin Cody shirt. He's always going to be wearing that just to get more heat on him, which I think was pretty awesome. He says, it's kind of obnoxious and regrettable and kind of distracting. Kind of like a neck tattoo. Taking a shot at Cody's new tattoo on his neck and whatnot. But then basically saying, he's coming after the world title and he wants Jon Moxley. So basically, he could be the next challenger for Moxley at Double or Nothing. Not sure. We'll have to wait and see. Or we may have a rematch, him and Jericho. Again, we'll just have to wait and see. But, good pro for sure by MJF. Tease a future, feud between them. So we'll have to see. Anyways, so then we're supposed to get our main event. It's supposed to be Darby Allin and Jon Moxley taking on Inner Circle's Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. Darby Allin makes his entrance, but when Moxley makes his, he's attacked by a couple of masked goons and dragged to the concourse. They end up being Jake Hager, Santana, and Ortiz, and they beat down Jon Moxley. Moxley tried fighting back several times, but it just didn't work out. So Darby Allin basically was willing to fight alone. And I thought he looked pretty good in this match. Good way to give him some more babyface momentum, more of an underdog momentum, so he can hang pretty well with Sammy Guevara, and now the former Le Champion, Chris Jericho as well. I thought it made him look pretty good. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, as he eventually would win, as Sammy Guevara pinned him with the lateral press. Afterwards, though, as the Inner Circle celebrates, Moxley comes in with a steel chair. He has a tornado of fists, taking the whole freaking Inner Circle down. He kicks Sammy's gut. He has a paradigm shift. Hager hits him from behind with a Northern Lariat, and the Inner Circle takes him up the ramp and beat him down. Head and arm triangle applied, and they stack him, but then a triple powerbomb off the stage and through the table. And then they flip off Moxley and raise each other's hands. So again, obviously, obviously, this feud between Jericho and Moxley is not over. I kind of hope if they do have another match, they have a stipulation to it for sure. But we'll have to wait and see. But that was the show. And I thought it was a pretty good show tonight. This week for Dynamite. Check see if anybody voted on the polls on Twitter. I'm going to be doing 3 polls now for the Wednesday Night Wars. What grade would you give AEW Dynamite? What grade would you give NXT? And also, which show do you enjoy more, Dynamite or NXT? So we'll have to wait and see. We'll answer that one after we do the NXT review tomorrow. But let's see who voted for on the AEW poll. Come on. Come on. Just 2 votes, and both people said B. I'm going to give this episode a B plus as well. That was a really strong show. A good way to start building towards the future for Double or Nothing. And, yeah, just a lot of good stuff, as I said before. Elimination Chamber is going to suck. Don't have really high expectations for it as well. Vince always laughs last. Brock Berry and Ricochet at Super Showdown was terrible for sure. It did the promo for Revolution with Dead to Me, These Wolves, between Cody and MJF, which was nice, and Survivor Series 2018 he thought still sucked. No worries, man. But yeah, guys, that's gonna do it. That is gonna be my live review, my first live review of AEW Dynamite on the show. Again, gave this show a B plus. What were your thoughts on Dynamite this week? Please make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And make sure as always to slap a like on the video, subscribe or comment on my channel. Follow me on Twitter at DemandAirBrand3. I'll see you guys back up here tomorrow night when I review NXT and SmackDown and get caught up with both of those shows. And eventually again NXT UK, but that will come sometime soon. And of course the pay-per-views as well to review those. So that is it, guys. I'm checking out. Have a great rest of your night. I will see you all later. And peace out, everybody.